They never turn the cameras around, ever. Turn them around. Turn them around. They never turn. Look at them. They see it. There's got to be. Feels like Madison Square Garden on the ground, except we have more people.
Hello, 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 hello. My name is Joe Biden.
Well, Mr. Vice President, I understand we're going to have a group photo, so everybody has their mask on.
Meanwhile, Democratic nominee Joe Biden meets supporters in small socially distanced groups, including in Pennsylvania earlier this week. But while Trump is trailing Biden in the polls nationally, the margins are razor thin, particularly in some battleground states.
4 more years! Yeah, we get 4 more years. Guaranteed we're going to get 4 more years.
Now, I could keep going on and on with example after example of the stark differences between the rallies and more lawn chair type meetings Biden has been having. But now the question remains, if this level of enthusiasm that is behind Trump and Biden respectively is accurate, why do the polls show such a different reality? Why is there such enthusiasm for Trump at his rallies with tens of thousands of people? And then why does Biden, who is polling so highly, then have trouble filling a small tent structure, even spaced out as much as they are? Today I'll look into the effectiveness of polling and the potential flaws, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome to The Contrarian. I like to talk about going against crowd thinking mentality as well as investing, but today I'll be focusing on a topic that's pretty pertinent right now. So this question of polling accuracy essentially gets back to the same result that we had back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was said to have a huge lead over Trump, and then Trump went on to win nearly all of the swing states. In fact, Clinton was so convinced she would win states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania that she hardly bothered going there at all. After all, they had voted Democratic for decades, and she was winning in the polls there. But while she was vacant, Trump was having multiple rallies per day, usually in these states, and it worked. Even though his margin of victory was fairly low, he still managed to win all of these states that formerly had been Democratic strongholds. So this begins to show at least that polling does not guarantee a victory or loss. Sure, it can indicate the direction of a sample of people's views, but if there's anything 2016 showed us, it's that enthusiasm and trust in a candidate far override past precedent. So let's look at how polling actually takes place and then some of the drawbacks of it. Firstly, polling takes a variety of tests, anywhere from calling up registered voters on the phone to prompting them to click on a link on their computers via email or, a link on a website. So right off the bat, you have several sources of error. Firstly, these methods do not distinguish between registered voters and likely voters. These polls are taking everyone into account who could vote, but this does not mean that they will vote. We saw this back in 2016 when roughly half of eligible voters did not vote. So it definitely gives room for the error of including people in your poll who won't actually go out and vote for this person. Secondly, let's just ask a simple question. Who tends to have the time to answer a long series of questions on the phone or computer? Is it a busy, hardworking individual, or someone who maybe doesn't work as hard or uses their time as productively, or is simply retired? Obviously, the answer lies in people's habits and state of life. People who have the most time are the most likely to fill out these polls and take the time to do it. Few busy business owners or professionals are going to have the time to complete these polls, and they likely don't even really want to in the first place. So this also brings error into your poll in potentially oversampling certain professions, demographics, and age groups of people. But this isn't even looking at the distrust that people have in media and polling, and their incentive to answer differently than they would vote. And this really gets to the meat of the issue, with 50% of strong liberals who support firing Trump supporters and 36% of strong conservatives supporting firing Biden supporters. People just do not trust this information will be quiet, and they do not want to risk losing their jobs over it. And in fact, 62% of Americans say that they have political beliefs that they aren't comfortable in sharing. And with all of the current riots and actual violence that can happen as a result of this, I'm not surprised at all that current polls are in an entirely different land than the rallies are showing. So what does all of this mean? Well, it seems that we're potentially in for a repeat of 2016 all over again, with the polls and the reality being entirely two different worlds. If you've seen any of my previous videos, I'm strongly favoring Trump to win this election. It definitely could be a contested election. It definitely will probably be the ugliest election in a while, but I think he will still win. But ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys for watching, and consider subscribing.